Hey guys, on November 15th, we're going to be hosting a 4-day free online trading workshops where you can learn the skills that help professional traders rise to the top. I'll put details in the show notes below this podcast, and I look forward to seeing you there. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Akil Stokes, former struggling trader turned consistently profitable trader, money manager, trading educator, and now podcast host, I guess. I do a few other things as well, but you guys have been listening to the show for years now, so you know exactly what that is. Thank you, as always, for taking the opportunity or spending the time with me for these podcast episodes. I love getting on the mic and kind of talking about what's on my mind, and I love getting the really getting the time and the opportunity to talk to you guys about topics that really you create and things that you want to hear about that are essential to you progressing on your trading journey. In today's episode, I want to talk to you a little bit about a failure I most recently had and kind of how it reinforced a lesson or a code that I've had for my entire trading career. And the other day I did something that I've never done before, something that I always said I would never do. And this was a little bit different because it was fun, but still, I did a trading challenge, right? I get asked all the time to do these trading challenges and, hey, trade this for a month or trade this for a week. And, obviously the goal is to, have the biggest, there's different goals, but the goal is to win. In my opinion, you don't do a challenge unless you try to win. And I've always turned those down simply because, one, it takes away from what I'm doing in my regular life, right? It's hard enough to concentrate on my own trading and concentrate on the traders that I'm working with on tier one trading. Nonetheless, add a separate challenge to that equation. I've got 2 young kids as well and a family and other interest in life. So just another thing to add, which I'm not necessarily looking to do at this point in my career. But I've always feared that it would encourage the wrong type of actions. And here's what I mean, right? I mentioned this before, right? I don't believe in doing a challenge unless you're going to try and win, right? It's the competitive mindset in me, right? If we're going to play a game of basketball, football, soccer, whatever, I don't believe in playing unless I'm going to win. I guess you can play for fun. I'm just not built that way. I want to win. So the question is, you have to do what's necessary to win. And my style of trading isn't necessarily equipped for winning challenges. If you guys are brand new, I have a slow, methodical, boring type of trading style where historically I'm about a 55% trader, so I win almost just as much as I lose. I usually return somewhere between 30 and 40% per year on return on investment, which is great. In my opinion, to steadily do that, but it's not going to wow anyone. If I go online and be like, hey guys, returned 30% this year, I'm going to get hit with people saying, oh, Akil, I returned 30% in the last 3 hours, right? Because that's just what you hear on the internet. So it doesn't wow anyone. And then I'm not an internet trader. I'm a real trader, and it's a slow, steady return. And obviously, you guys that know the business side of things, right? You know how compounding works, right? You know how return on investment works. I think if you know anything about the financial markets, you would be very happy with a 40% return each year. But again, it's not going to win a competition. So if I do my normal way of trading, not only do I not think it would produce the results needed to win, but I'm pretty conservative in how I take trades as well. I don't have a very high frequency. I'm not, banging out 20 trades a week or anything like that. On a busy month, I may have 20 trades a month. Honestly, it's going to be probably more like 10 to 15. And a lot of these trading competitions have requirements where, you only have a month, a time requirement where you have to have a certain amount of trades. So all in all, I'm just not built. My normal style of trading just isn't built to win. So if I were to enter a trading competition, and this is what I did yesterday during the it was called like a Trading View Market Replay Challenge. You got to do something a little bit different. You got to be a little bit aggressive, and it brings you back to really how I met my trading mentor, right? So my trading mentor, the one that really didn't introduce me to trading, but he's the one that I ended up going with for coaching and mentorship. I first found out about him in an article in FX Trader magazine, right? The article was about basically the headline was like, this guy finished, I think it was second or third in this trading competition and returned this much over this period of time. And of course, the younger trader in me at the time who was like, ooh, he returned what? He did that? Ooh, that's crazy. I'm like, okay, let's read about this guy because I want to read about the greats, right? I was reading Market Wizards and all that fun stuff. If you were good, I wanted to read about what you did to get good. So hopefully I can become good as well. And I read the article. It was nice. It was insightful. It made sense. He broke down kind of his approach to the market and his approach to the trading strategy or the competition. And the thing that caught me, the thing that stood out to me the most, and this is probably why I ended up following up with him, was at the very end. He said, "Now this is the most important thing I can tell you." He said, "I would never trade like this with my own personal money." And I was like, "What?" No one's ever said that before. First of all, everything that I was reading about on the internet was, make all this money really, really, really quick. Second of all, I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you admit that? Why would you, you did really, really good. You got this massive return. You got second or third place again. I forgot which one it was. Why would you not just be like, well, yeah, I do this normally. And it ended up being that honesty that kind of attracted me to him as well. But he explained, he said, I would never do this with my live money because it was way too aggressive and he wasn't doing anything crazy with risk, but it wasn't under the same risk parameters that he would usually take. And something about that really stuck to me because, again, I come from an investment background before going into trading. And by investment background, I spent a couple of years in the stock market. I don't know formal education or anything like that. I dibbled and dabbled and had some pretty good success in the stock market. But I've always had a good mindset about money and being frugal in general with money. I've always had a risk management first type of mindset. Don't get me wrong. I've done some really, really dumb stuff and over position size and margin call and all that fun stuff. You do dumb stuff during the learning phase. But at no time did I really believe in like risk everything on a single trade or risk a massive amount. It was always kind of, hey, you dip your toe in, you risk enough, but always protect yourself on the back end. So it was kind of cool to hear that. And, so in order to win this competition, he had to do a more aggressive approach. And that's what I did yesterday, right? We're doing this Trading View Challenge with the Trading Nut podcast. I did a podcast with him before. That's the only reason I said yes. Again, I usually always say no, but we have a good relationship from the podcast. I'm like, you know what? I got nothing better to do. Let's do it. And the competition was essentially this. It was, you load up some charts on TradingView. He takes control of your computer, goes to a random location, and you scroll through and you look for trading opportunities. Now, there's some things you can or cannot do with the replay mode. So you can't jump around. You can't jump up and down between time frames the same way you usually would because, if you go from a daily down to a 4 hour, it's going to print those 4 hour candles and whatnot. And going back up, it's going to print the new daily candle. So there's a little changes there. You can't go to a certain lower time frame as well because I guess TradingView's replay mode just kind of it restarts it or whatever like that. But all in all, it was a fun challenge. So before we're going to it, he ran through the leaderboard with me. And he's like, this is what people have returned. It was some guys at the top that returned like 7R and whatnot. And then there was a bunch of in the middle, like 1R. And then there were people at the bottom. And he asked me, he said, how do you think you're going to do? I said, well, I'm probably not going to be anywhere near the top. That's just not my trading style. But I said, you know what? We're going to go for it today. And we went for a more aggressive approach because I said, it's fun. Let's have fun doing it. And what happened was I bombed it, right? 5 trades. I had 1 winner. I think I finished negative 1.8 R. Would have been a little bit less, but I was in the hole going into the 5th trade, and I went for like this massive like 20 to 1 R trade just to try and get back up, or like it was like 8 to 1, something like that, just to kind of go for it all. And that ended up losing when it should have made some money, but I was being super aggressive because it's a game. But I won one and I lost four. And I stunk up the joint. And what was cool about that, and you're probably asking yourself, well, Akil, how can it be cool about stinking up the joint? You're live in front of all these people. It's because I don't really care. I can really care less about what people think about my trading. There was a point in time where I cared a lot about what people thought about my trading, and I judged myself based off what people think. Success has changed that. I thought that way when I was unsuccessful, like I had to prove stuff to everyone. Fortunately, when you become successful, you no longer have to prove anything to anybody because you have the proof in front of your face, which is your success. And it's cool how that happens. And that goes hand in hand with confidence in trading as well. As once you've been consistently profitable for years and years and years, you have more confidence in yourself. You have more confidence in what you're doing. You no longer get scared to kind of pull the trigger and trade. So it kind of works in all aspects of trading, in all aspects in life as well. But I was we were talking on the chat afterwards with the traders about the competition and poking fun. I'm like, guys, I'm ashamed to show my face here. Sorry, I let you down, I embarrassed you. And we're talking about just doing trading competitions in general. And we talked about, obviously, a 5 trade sample size isn't enough to make any opinion, but we were kind of talking about doing a trading challenge on our platform, and we started really touching on the negatives, right? And there's a bunch of negatives here, right? One of the negatives is that newer traders, right? Newer traders will place judgment on themselves or whoever they're watching based off that competition. So if we had a trading competition on the site and we had a trader, let's say Tony, for example, because I'm looking at his name right now, right? 2 things, right? If Tony is doing bad, right, he hits a rough stretch in the market, they're going to think that the way that Tony trades doesn't work. Tony can have fantabulous returns for the rest of the year. He just hit maybe a bad month's patch and he's going through a drawdown, right? We all know that all systems face drawdowns. We never know when they're coming. We just got to survive them, right? But that can discourage traders from trading a certain type of way because they're going to make an assumption, oh, this doesn't work. On the other side, if Tony is killing it, he's blowing it out the park, he's being super aggressive entries, aggressive risk management, aggressive position sizing, all that fun stuff, well, what do you think a newer trader is likely to do? They're more likely to mimic that trader. And we have mimicking happening already, right? If you guys are not familiar with the Tier 1 platform, it's a community, the best community in the world of traders, in my opinion, but it's a community of traders of all different levels. We have very experienced traders at the top. We have intermediate traders, some experience, but still kind of learning in the middle. And then we have newer traders at the bottom. And what we try to do is we try to link the few together, right? We try to link the upper quadrant with the lower quadrant. That way, newer traders kind of have built-in mentorship, not just by myself and Jason Greystone and Darren and Charles and Anthony and OG, but also with traders on the platform. And that way they can ask questions to experienced traders that aren't myself. Maybe they get a different opinion and they can become more knowledgeable that way. On the other hand, right, for those experienced traders, we all know that the best way to learn is to teach it to someone else. So by having someone newer that's asking a lot of questions, they've got to figure out, okay, well, how do I term this? How do I explain this? And it's reinforcing the concepts that they already know. So it's a very beautiful setup. I like to call it like an ecosystem where everything helps everything kind of go around and it works perfectly. And that's why we've had so many traders see success here. But imagine one of those upper tier traders doing the challenge, being aggressive, and the newer trader, the one that they're mentoring, that they're working with, all of a sudden thinks that's the way to do it. Well, they're going to get started off on a really wrong path in their trading because they're going to be focused on the wrong things. Not only are they going to be taking the wrong actions, but they're going to have the wrong expectations as well. And again, they could have something that's very successful. They can return 40% a year. But all of a sudden, it's not good enough. They may ditch it because it's not the whatever percent that Tony returns. So that's one of the reasons we typically try to stay away from these challenges. But it is interesting because the fun guy in me would love to do something like that on the platform. I think it would just be, trading is fun, right? It's a serious business, obviously, but we like to have fun with it. I do think it would have fun doing something like that. But the question always is, is the risk worth it? And I always worry so much about the newer traders and their experience. I know they're always watching, they're always observing. And even if they're not invited into the competition because it's like, hey, only the vets do it, I just don't want them kind of getting the wrong impression about what we stand for, because how we've built our company is 100% off of reputation. Right? There's no marketing schemes or anything like that. There's no crazy partnerships or anything like that. It's reputation of teaching things the right way, having the right expectations, and really seeing success with our traders and the traders we work with. Not only coming back to say nice things about us, but staying with us and lending a helping hand to the newbies. And reputations are hard to come by. It takes a long time to build them. It takes a very short time to break them down. And I wouldn't want something like that to break them down. So I don't know. Maybe you'll see it in the future. If you guys out there have any thoughts or ideas on a way that we can do some type of trading competition in a legitimate way that's not too, I don't even know how to do it. Shoot me some ideas if you have any. And it's not something that I want to do, but I'm always open to hearing different things. We're always looking to have a little fun on the platform. And if we can do so, that's going to be a bonus. But in general, stay away from trading competitions. Or if you're going to go to trading competitions, go to it with the right mindset. Understand that it's for fun. You're doing things different, and you wouldn't do things the right way. And I forgot to mention this. This is the last thing before I shut up and let you guys go. One of my biggest fears with a trading competition is actually winning one. Believe it or not. And why would you say that, right? We talked earlier about how I would take a very aggressive approach when it comes to analysis, trade entry, to position sizing, risk management, all that fun stuff, right? My biggest fear, if I were to do that and I were to win and have this crazy return, and I don't think I would do this because I'm pretty centered and I'm pretty grounded, but I feel like part of me would look at what I did during that competition, look at what I'm doing in real life and being like, should you change, Akil? And I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, because if you typically when you have a big return like that, it's nothing that's long lasting. It's you hit a hot streak, you hit the markets in the right direction at the right time, and you were aggressive, and the normal extension that you would have is even bigger because you were more aggressive with it. And eventually, over time it kind of evens itself out. If you continue to be that aggressive, you'll give stuff back in the drawdown. But part of me would be like, ooh, tasty. Maybe we should try that. And I don't even want that temptation. Again, I don't think that will happen because I'm pretty centered and pretty, I understand the game. But you know how it is. There's always that little person standing on your shoulder whispering those sweet nothings to you. So we'll see. But don't do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Please do me a favor, rate and review these episodes or the podcast on your favorite podcasting app. If you like the show, that's the best way you can support. And I'll see you guys during the next episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. Take care.